Hello, and welcome to my channel. Relax, and get ready to listen to today's story. Now I'm going to tell you a cozy story about a rainy season in a mountain village. Emily Thompson stood at the window of her small cottage, watching as the rain poured relentlessly outside. It had been weeks since the rain had started, and the village of Willowbrook was now covered in a thick layer of mud. The constant downpour had turned the usually peaceful village into a muddy and gloomy place. Willowbrook was nestled in a lush valley, surrounded by rolling hills and meandering streams. It was a village untouched by time, with its charming cottages and narrow cobblestone streets. The villagers were a close-knit community, always ready to lend a helping hand to one another. Emily was a young and passionate teacher who had recently moved to Willowbrook. She had always dreamed of making a difference in the lives of children, and Willowbrook seemed like the perfect place to start her teaching career. Her small classroom was filled with eager students, their eyes shining with curiosity and excitement. As Emily taught her students about the wonders of the world, she couldn't help but feel a deep connection to the village and its people. Through conversations with the villagers, she learned about their struggles, dreams, and hopes amidst the rain. One rainy afternoon, Emily found herself in the local cafe, seeking shelter from the relentless downpour. She struck up a conversation with Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly woman known for her wisdom and kindness. "Goodness me, this rain just won't let up," Mrs. Jenkins sighed, sipping her cup of tea. "It's been weeks since we've seen the sun." Emily nodded sympathetically. "It must be difficult for everyone in the village." Mrs. Jenkins smiled sadly. "Indeed, my dear. The rain has caused flooding and ruined crops. Many families are struggling to make ends meet." Emily's heart sank at the thought of her beloved village suffering. She had always been a dreamer, and she couldn't help but think of ways to bring hope and joy to the villagers. Emily's small classroom was filled with warmth and laughter as she taught her students about the wonders of the world. The rain outside seemed to fade into the background as the children eagerly absorbed every word she said. As the days went by, Emily grew more attached to her students and the village. She spent her evenings exploring the narrow streets, engaging in conversations with the villagers, and listening to their stories. One evening, Emily found herself sitting by the fireplace in the local inn, surrounded by a group of villagers. They shared stories of their childhood, their dreams, and their struggles. Emily listened intently, her heart swelling with empathy. "I used to dream of becoming a painter," said Mr. Thompson, a middle-aged man with paint-stained hands. "But the rain has ruined my art studio, and now I can barely make ends meet." "I always wanted to be a baker," added Mrs. Johnson, a plump woman with flour-dusted apron. But with the crops ruined, there's barely enough flour to bake bread for everyone. Emily's heart ached for the villagers and their shattered dreams. She knew she had to do something to bring hope back to Willowbrook. The rain continued to pour relentlessly, wreaking havoc on the village of Willowbrook. The once lush fields were now flooded, and the villagers struggled to salvage what was left of their homes and livelihoods. Emily watched as families worked together to reinforce their homes and protect their belongings from the rising water. The sound of hammers echoed through the village as makeshift dams were constructed to divert the floodwaters. The local farmers were hit the hardest. Their crops had been destroyed by the rain, leaving them with nothing to sell or feed their families. Emily could see the worry etched on their faces as they surveyed the waterlogged fields. One morning, Emily decided to visit Mr. Johnson, a farmer she had grown close to during her time in Willowbrook. She found him knee-deep in mud, desperately trying to salvage what was left of his crops. "Mr. Johnson, is there anything I can do to help?" Emily asked, her voice filled with genuine concern. Mr. Johnson looked up, his tired eyes lighting up with gratitude. "Emily, it's good to see you. I'm afraid there's not much anyone can do now. The rain has ruined everything." Emily refused to accept defeat. "We can't give up, Mr. Johnson. We have to find a way to overcome this together." The villagers of Willowbrook were known for their resilience and determination. Despite the hardships brought on by the rain, they came together to support one another during this difficult time. Emily witnessed acts of kindness and generosity that warmed her heart. Families shared their food and shelter with those who had lost everything. Neighbors helped each other rebuild their homes, working tirelessly day and night. One evening, Emily organized a gathering in the village square. The villagers huddled together under umbrellas and makeshift tents, their faces illuminated by candlelight. "We may be battered by the rain, but we will not be defeated," Emily declared, her voice filled with determination. "We are a community, and together we can overcome anything." The villagers nodded in agreement, their spirits lifted by Emily's words. They knew that they were not alone in their struggles and that they had each other's backs. Despite the constant rain, the villagers of Willowbrook found joy in the simplest of activities. Children splashed in puddles, their laughter filling the air. Adults gathered around the fireplace, sharing stories and songs. One rainy afternoon, Emily found herself in the village square, surrounded by a group of children. They sat cross-legged on the wet ground, their eyes shining with excitement. "Tell us a story, Miss Thompson," one of the children pleaded. Emily smiled and nodded. She began to weave a tale of a brave knight and a magical forest, her words transporting the children to a world far away from the rain-soaked village. As Emily's storytelling sessions became a regular occurrence, more and more villagers gathered around to listen. They found solace in her stories, forgetting their worries for a while and immersing themselves in the magic of her words. Emily had always dreamed of becoming a writer. She had filled countless notebooks with stories and poems, but she had never shared her writing with anyone. The rain had given her the perfect opportunity to explore her passion. During quiet moments, Emily would sit by her window, gazing out at the rain-soaked village. She would pick up her pen and let her imagination run wild, pouring her heart and soul onto the pages. One evening, as Emily sat in the local cafe, lost in her writing, a familiar face walked in. It was Mr. Jenkins, a visiting author known for his captivating stories. He noticed Emily engrossed in her writing and approached her with a smile. "I couldn't help but notice your dedication, my dear. Are you a writer?" Emily blushed, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "Yes, I am. But I've never shared my writing with anyone." Mr. Jenkins nodded understandingly. "It takes courage to share your work with others, but it is through sharing that we grow as writers. I encourage you to pursue your dream and share your stories with the world." Emily's encounter with Mr. Jenkins filled her with renewed hope and confidence. She realized that her writing had the power to make a difference, not just in her own life but in the lives of others as well. She attended writing workshops in nearby towns, honing her skills and learning from experienced writers. She submitted her work to literary magazines and publishers, hoping for a chance to share her stories with a wider audience. Back in Willowbrook, the rain began to subside, and the villagers felt a glimmer of hope. The floodwaters receded, revealing a village in need of repair. But the villagers were not disheartened. They knew that they had overcome the worst of the rain, and brighter days were ahead. Emily's writing became a source of inspiration and comfort for the villagers. Her stories and poems brought a sense of hope and unity to the community, reminding them of their strength and resilience. One evening, Emily stood before the villagers in the village square, her hands trembling with excitement. She held a collection of her stories and poems, freshly printed and bound. "These are not just my words," Emily declared, her voice filled with emotion. "They are our stories. Stories of love, hope, and resilience. Stories that remind us of the beauty that lies within us, even in the darkest of times. The villagers gathered around, eagerly flipping through the pages of Emily's book. Their eyes filled with tears as they read about their own struggles and triumphs. With the rain finally subsiding, the villagers of Willowbrook set out to rebuild their homes and livelihoods. They worked together, clearing away the mud and repairing the damage caused by the relentless downpour. Emily rolled up her sleeves and joined the villagers in their efforts. She helped Mr. Johnson plant new crops, her hands covered in soil and her heart filled with hope. Slowly but surely, the village began to return to its peaceful state. The fields turned green again, and the sound of laughter filled the air. Emily's encounter with Mr. Jenkins had ignited a fire within her. She was determined to pursue her dream of becoming a writer, inspired by the support and encouragement of her community. She attended writing conferences and connected with other writers, sharing her experiences and learning from their wisdom. She submitted her work to literary agents and publishers, hoping for a chance to bring her stories to a wider audience. As Emily took steps towards achieving her goals, she noticed a ripple effect in the village. The villagers, inspired by her determination, began to pursue their own dreams. Mr. Thompson set up a makeshift art studio in his living room, painting vibrant landscapes that captured the beauty of Willowbrook. Mrs. Johnson started baking bread again, filling the village with the comforting aroma of fresh loaves. Emily's writing journey began to bear fruit. Her stories about the village and its resilience caught the attention of readers and publishers alike. They were captivated by her ability to capture the essence of Willowbrook and its people. As word spread about Emily's talent, people from far and wide flocked to Willowbrook. They wanted to experience the magic of the village for themselves, to witness the strength and unity of its people. The influx of visitors brought much-needed support to the village. Local businesses thrived, and new opportunities arose for the villagers. The rain that had once threatened to drown them had become a catalyst for positive change. Willowbrook thrived and flourished with renewed hope and determination. The villagers had overcome the challenges brought on by the rain, and their spirits were higher than ever. Emily stood before the villagers one last time, her heart filled with gratitude. "It is not just my writing that has brought about this change," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "It is the power of our community, our unity, and our unwavering spirit." The villagers nodded in agreement, their eyes shining with pride. They knew that their strength lay not just in their individual dreams but in their collective determination to make Willowbrook a better place. As Emily looked out at the village she now called home, she couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment. She had found her purpose in Willowbrook, and her writing had become a beacon of hope for the villagers. And so, the rain-soaked village of Willowbrook became a symbol of resilience and community spirit. It reminded the world that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, and that dreams can be realized with the support of a loving community.